In July of 1518, something impossible began to happen in the city of Strasbourg. A woman stepped into the street and started dancing. Not celebrating, not performing, just dancing. Her name was Frau Trophäa. At first, people probably thought she had gone mad, but then something stranger happened. She kept dancing for hours, then through the night, then the next day, and the day after that. According to historical accounts, she danced for nearly a week without stopping. No music, no festival, no reason anyone could understand. And then other people joined her. One person, then several, then dozens. Soon, entire groups of men and women were dancing uncontrollably in the streets. They couldn't stop, even when they wanted to. Some screamed in pain, some begged for help, some collapsed from exhaustion, only to get up and continue moving. Within weeks, around 400 people were affected. This event would later become known as the Dancing Plague of 1518, and more than 500 years later, we still don't know exactly why it happened. So what caused one of the strangest mass events in human history? To understand that, we need to understand the world these people lived in. Life in 16th century Europe was brutal. Famine was common. Disease spread easily. Medical knowledge was primitive. And in the years before the outbreak, the region around Strasbourg had suffered repeated disasters. Crop failures, harsh winters, rising food prices, disease outbreaks, extreme stress was everywhere. People lived in constant fear. Fear of hunger, fear of illness, fear of death. And fear mattered more than we might think, because the people of Strasbourg also lived in a deeply religious world. They believed saints could punish or protect them. One figure in particular may be important here, Saint Vitus. Many people believed Saint Vitus had the power to curse sinners with uncontrollable dancing, seizures, or shaking. That belief sounds strange today, but in 1518 it was terrifyingly real to them. So when people began dancing uncontrollably, many believed they were cursed, and that belief may have made things worse, because panic spreads, especially when everyone shares the same fear. Now here's the part that sounds almost unbelievable. The authorities made a decision that may have intensified the entire outbreak. Instead of stopping the dancers, they encouraged them to keep dancing. Why? Because local physicians came to a strange conclusion. They believed the dancers suffered from hot blood. Their solution? Let the blood burn itself out. So officials rented halls, they cleared public spaces, they even hired musicians, drummers, fiddlers, professional dancers. The idea was simple: dance until the sickness leaves the body. But it didn't help. It made everything worse. More people joined, more bodies collapsed, more panic spread. Historical reports describe people with swollen feet, broken ribs, and extreme exhaustion. Some accounts claim people died from heart attacks, strokes, or sheer exhaustion. The exact death toll is uncertain. Some later retellings claim as many as 15 people died per day. But historians caution that the evidence for exact numbers is weak. Still, even without precise numbers, the suffering was real. Eventually, officials changed strategy. They banned music, they stopped public dancing, and they moved the afflicted away from the city. Some were taken to a shrine dedicated to Saint Vitus in the mountains. There, priests performed rituals. The dancers were given special red shoes. Holy symbols were placed on them. Prayers were said, and gradually, the outbreak faded. The dancing stopped, just as mysteriously as it began. So what actually happened? Over the centuries, scientists and historians have proposed many theories. One popular explanation was poisoning, specifically ergot poisoning. Ergot is a fungus that can grow on rye, a grain used for bread. It produces chemicals related to compounds that affect the brain. Some people compared its effects to hallucinations. This sounds convincing at first, but most modern researchers don't think ergot explains the event. Why? Because ergot poisoning usually causes severe muscle spasms, confusion, and intense pain. People suffering from it typically wouldn't dance for days in coordinated movement. So if not poison, then what? Today, many historians support a different explanation. Mass psychogenic illness, also called mass hysteria. This happens when psychological stress becomes so intense that it produces real physical symptoms. Not imagined symptoms, real ones. People can faint, shake, lose speech, develop pain, or even lose control of their bodies. And crucially, these symptoms can spread socially. One person influences another. Fear amplifies fear. Expectation shapes experience. In communities under extreme stress, this effect can become powerful. Now combine that with famine, religious fear, social pressure, and a shared belief in supernatural punishment. Suddenly, the impossible starts to look more possible. The people of Strasbourg may not have been poisoned. They may have been overwhelmed, their bodies expressing stress in the most dramatic way imaginable. But even that explanation doesn't answer everything. Why dancing? Why this exact behavior? Why hundreds of people at once? That remains the mystery. Because the dancing plague wasn't completely unique. Between the 14th and 17th centuries, Europe recorded several similar outbreaks. Groups dancing uncontrollably, convulsing, screaming, collapsing, then recovering, but none became as famous as Strasbourg in 1518. And maybe that's because this story forces us to confront something uncomfortable. The human mind is far more powerful and fragile than we like to admit. We often imagine madness as something distant, something that happens to other people, other times, other worlds, but history suggests otherwise. Under enough stress, belief can shape biology, fear can reshape behavior, and crowds can become something larger than the individuals inside them. So what really happened in Strasbourg? Poison, religion, mass hysteria, or something we still don't understand? The honest answer is simple. We don't know, and that uncertainty is what makes this story so haunting. Because somewhere in the streets of Strasbourg, hundreds of people danced until their bodies gave out. Not for joy, not for celebration, but because something inside them, or around them, wouldn't let them stop. And even after 5 centuries, the music they never heard still echoes through history.